Hi everyone, it's Shel from Scrap Secrets and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is part of the Team Tiny December Hop. Our theme is winter and this is the card that we're going to create. So I used the November My Monthly Hero Arts kit and I'm just showing you the pieces that I cut out. It was mainly a die kit to make these really cute ornaments. I took the Make Along class, and that is what I made with Kelly Taylor, and I thought that we could kind of recreate some of that, but with a little bit of a twist in this one. So she created an ornament, and the original one, I decided I really didn't want to do an ornament. I wanted to do a focal piece for a card and then do a different background. So I decided to do the same thing with this one. I cut out the white ornament in 110-pound cardstock from Michaels, and now I'm going around the edges with some tumbled glass Distress Oxide. I did bring it in a little bit further than the original one that I created because I knew that I wanted to do some stuff around the sides and I wanted more of the blue to show than in the original one that I did. I cut out 3 of the poinsettias, 1 large and 2 smaller ones. And now I'm coloring them in with some Copic markers. The first one we're going to use is R20, and then I'm going to use R21. Just doing some light flicks to give a little bit of color to the center. So this part was stolen from a honeybee video. Somebody had done a red and white card and wanted to do white poinsettias, and they decided to add a little bit of pink to the centers, and I thought they looked beautiful, so I was like, let me try that here. So this card has a lot of pieces that were stolen, or I should say ideas that were borrowed from other people's projects and put together. For the centers of the poinsettias, we are going to be using 2 colors of Copic markers. I think that is RY27 and Y17, something like that. And so I was trying to figure out how I wanted this all to come together because I really wasn't sure. I had cut out a bunch of pieces like these pine cones here. 2 of the larger ones, 1 smaller one. We only end up using the smaller one, so I'm only going to show you how I inked this up. I just kind of went over the lines in that pine cone. There are some score lines in it where it would be darker, like you can actually almost pick them up a little bit to kind of give it some dimension. So here I am taking 2 colors of Copic markers. This is the R59 and shading the very bottom of the bow and some of the darker places on this. So you'll see I'm adding like that shadow that would be underneath the loop, adding a little bit to the bows, and then using this other marker, R27, to extend the line. This is how Kelly taught us to do the bow. And then I'm going to go in and color in those bottom loops to kind of make it look a little bit more 3-dimensional. Adding a little bit of color to the top of it as well, because there would be a small opening in the loop in the top, but you would really see it at the loop at the bottom. Just going in and adding a little bit of color where I think it would be on the bow. So I'm going to put that to the side, and then we are going to start working on the greenery. So I took evergreen bough in the beginning and was just pouncing it on top of these greenery pieces. So I'm not exactly sure what these are. I guess like sprigs of something. And so I started off with evergreen bough, and then I went to rustic wilderness because I thought that it wasn't dark enough, but actually it lightened up some of the pieces. If you can see it on there, it definitely looks like it lightened it up on camera. In person, it really didn't look like that. So again, just pouncing on some of the color just to add a little bit of interest to it. We are going to be layering these on top of each other, and I do think I did cut out 4 pieces. In the original one, I only cut out 3, and I think that I like when they kind of overlap in most of the places. So what I'm going to do is 4 doesn't let things overlap in every single spot. So I'm going to start at the bottom and then put that piece down and then put a piece at the top, because at the top we're not going to overlap because it's going to be covered with the bow. So the bow is going to actually cover the hole so it doesn't look like an ornament. The bow is perfectly sized to go over that hole, and I don't know if that was by design so that you didn't have to make it an ornament, but I found out when we did the first one that it pretty much goes right over top of there. So now I'm adding the other layers just to see where I need to overlap them. So you're going to see at the top and the bottom, there are going to be 2 spots that are a little bit more sparse than the sides of them because they are going to overlap. There's not going to be a second one to overlap it, actually, and on the sides too. So there's a little bit on the top, the bottom, and the sides. But we are going to go ahead and do something else to cover those up because I didn't like how bare it looked. It looked like it needed something else. Now that they're all attached, we are going to get ready to put the bow on. I added a little bit of the Honeybee Bee Creative Glue to the back of the bow and placed it on the front, held it down for a couple of seconds just to make sure all of that glue adhered. And then I'm going to bring out the poinsettias and see how they looked on there. I wasn't sure how I wanted to put them on there, and actually becomes a different design. I decided to cut out these branches and then 2 more pine cones. And the branches were ones that we used in the original one for Kelly Taylor and added a little bit of snow to it. So I used a snow marker to add a little bit of this snow to the edge of the branches. And what happens is you use your heat tool and it starts to puff them up. Oh, my pen did, in a minute you'll see it, it kind of explodes onto the mat and onto the image. I think it was an acorn. I think it was actually on one of these sprigs, and you'll see it coming up. But I just used that and went ahead with it, and I liked the more coverage one. So if I did this again, I would definitely put more of this snow pen on there. So then I'm going to take my heat tool and then my craft pick to try to hold them in place. And all it does is make it puff up. And it's a really, really cool effect. And again, everything was blowing away. I really did a terrible job with this, holding them down. So, and I'm using a silicone mat because the other day when I did it right on my glass mat. And that was like the worst thing. My glass mat was so hot because I don't believe that you should be doing that on your glass mat. So while you're watching me do the rest of this snow marker on the images, I'm going to talk a little bit about Team Tiny. We are a group of crafters that have less than 1,000 subscribers. We come together once a month to do a hop where there's always a theme. We have a bunch of new ideas for 2023, so I hope that you guys will join us. It's always a hashtag driven event, so you're going to click on the hashtag in the title and you'll be able to see everybody's videos who participate. There are usually between 10 and 15 people that participate in this. We try to cap it at 15 and try to do about 10 to 15 minute videos so that you guys can get through these videos fairly quickly. And that's pretty much it. We just, you just have to be a paper crafter and have the YouTube channel. So if you're interested in joining Team Tiny, I will leave the link below. Make sure that you answer the 3 questions though. If you don't answer the questions, we do deny it and just send you a message and just say, please answer the questions. So they're really not hard questions at all. We would love to have you, and thank you guys so much for watching in the hop because there have been so many sweet comments and amazing people that have watched and subscribed to our channels. So we're really, really appreciative of it. We hope these hops have given you new techniques and ideas to spark some creativity back into your own projects. So we appreciate everybody for joining us in these challenges, and I love all the comments, the likes, and especially the subscriptions. So we will continue that into 2023 and have some great ideas for that. So stay with us. So back to the card, I am just finishing up the snow writer, puffing them up with the heat gun. And then once that was done, I'm going to go ahead and start to assemble the rest of the card. So when I was putting this together, I was like, why didn't it come out the same exact way as when I had dry fit it? Well, because when you saw how bad I was at holding the pieces into place, one of the pieces actually escaped, and I didn't realize it until afterwards. I thought I cut out 4 branches, but I actually cut out 5. So I have one ready to go for another project. I'm using my Honeybee Bee Creative Glue on the spine of this, just like the middle piece, to hold it down into place. Didn't want it totally attached down, wanted it to be able to have a little bit of dimension, and if it wanted to pop up in a place, that was totally fine because it would give it more dimension. So once those ones were glued down, I'm also going to take the pine cones, and where there are those little gaps, fill them in. So there's 3 spots. So one on the left, one on the right, and then one in the center. So I'm going to attach those with that same Honeybee Bee Creative glue. And the reason that I actually ended up doing this layer is because I got some of the green Distress Oxide on the blue, and you could really see it. It was like a fingerprint. So I decided to use some of these branches to cover it up. Now I'm going to attach the poinsettias, and I wasn't sure how I wanted to do this. I usually have a really tough time when there's clusters of things. There's other people that make it look so easy, but for me, it's always a challenge. So I decided that I wanted to do it kind of in a diagonal pattern. So I put the large one in the center and then put the others on the top left and then the bottom right. And I thought that, to me, that just looked the best. So once I was finished with that, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but I felt like it needed a little bit more for winter. I had the snow on there, the bow, the wreath, the whole thing. I felt like it was winter, but I wasn't really sure and thought I needed something else. So I took that snow writer back out and just carefully did some dots because I didn't want to get the blob on it like I did. So I just added a little bit of snow to the back, and then I'm going to use my heat gun to go ahead and raise those dots up. And I apologize that you can't see it. The transformation's pretty cool. It's like embossing powder. It just puffs up and doesn't become liquid anymore. So now I took a piece of Lawn Fawn cardstock, cut it down to 4 by 5 1/4. So this was one of those free papers with purchase. I think this was from the mystery kit that I got and my birthday stuff. Oh, I decided to use the tumbled glass, went around the edges because I thought that it matched almost perfectly with that. And then we're going to take a piece of blue cardstock that measures 4 and I guess it's like 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So it was like 1/8 of an inch larger than this piece, and we're going to glue it to that. Next, we're going to attach that panel to the front of a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 A2 size card base. I'm going to be using my ATG to put some tape runner down, and then to glue the scene, we are actually going to be using some foam tape. There was a little bit of warping with the, you said the heat gun, so I decided to use some foam tape on the back of that. When I was originally trying to put this together, I was just going to put the scene on the front, but I thought that was just, I can't do really clean and simple. This is probably the most clean and simple card that you'll see me make. So took the back off, attached it to the front, and that is the card for today. Thank you guys so much for joining us with Team Tiny. Please click on the hashtag in the title of the video, and that will bring you to everybody's videos. Thank you so much for watching. If you have comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below, and I'll see you again real soon for another video. Bye!